Hey there guys, I'm TheRoyalGorilla and welcome to my complete rundown of all the Easter eggs in Dying Light. Now there won't be any particular order to any of these Easter eggs, and I've tried my best to make sure that I haven't missed any, but I apologise if there are a few that slipped through the crack. If there are any that I have missed, don't hesitate to put it in the comment section below, and I'll be sure to read it. So without further ado, let's get to it. Now in order to find this Easter egg, you need to progress through the story until you have to enter Old Town during the mission The Saviours. During this mission, once you enter the sewers, you'll meet up with a group of survivors.
Look, Dad, it's
With this
Mr.
group
Crane.
will be a child, and this child is holding a tiny replica of the Master Sword. The design of this sword is very similar to the design of the sword in The Legend of Zelda, but unfortunately there's no way of getting hold of this weapon for yourself. Once you've seen this sword this initial time, it can be found in a couple more locations, including the daycare centre in Old Town, and also in your Easter egg collection in your room at the tower. Now in order to find this Easter egg, you need to start the escort mission, which can be found at this area of the slums. Once you start this mission, all you need to do is start following this guy until he runs past this open warehouse, where all you need to do is head inside, find the electrical panel on the wall and interact with it. Once you do this, you'll start to hear music, and you'll be treated to a rare sight of what zombies in Dying Light like to do when they're not chowing down on survivors. Now in order to find the Destiny Easter egg, you're going to need to go to this location on the map. Now this can be found in the slums area, and you can come here whenever you like. Now once you arrive in this location, you will be able to find a small pool, which if you swim underwater, you will be able to find an underwater passage which will lead to a large open cave. If you have a look around inside this cave, the message, "Your destiny is to build your legend and get loot," will appear on screen. Once this message appears, some zombies will start to spawn in the cave. After a little while, when you kill all these zombies, they will stop spawning and a second message will be displayed. This message reads, "Enough. Patch 1.0.2 activated. Better do some quests." Now this Easter egg is actually referring to the loot cave in Destiny, and the patch which was put in place to stop people farming it endlessly. Now in order to find this Easter egg, you will need to go to this location on the map, and this is in the Old Town area. Now unlike most of the other Easter eggs that I've covered so far in my previous videos, this Easter egg doesn't actually reference something else, but rather is just something quirky that you can find in the game. Now once you make it to the location that I showed on the map, there will be two different things you'll be able to find. At the top of the cliff, you'll be able to find a few things that have been left, like clothing and some personal items. But the second half is far more morbid. If you take a look down into the water below this position, you will see the dead body of a woman who's clearly been cliff diving in water that's just a bit too shallow. Now as I said before, this isn't really referencing anything particular, but it's just something quirky that you can find in the game that I thought I'd share with you because I thought it was kinda cool. Now to find this Easter egg, what you want to do is go to this location on the map. Now this is found in the slums area, which means that you can go there right from the very start of the game, and if you go and get your hands on this weapon very early on, it's very powerful and can make for short work of some zombies. And you'll see why I mean only some. Okay, so once you arrive in this location, you'll have to swim for a bit to get here, but out just offshore on the rock, you will find a sword in a zombie's torso. Now you'll be prompted to hold your interact button, for me it's X, which essentially starts to pull the sword out of the corpse. Now since this is Excalibur, it's not that easy to just take. You're going to have to hold it down for, I think, about 3 or 2 minutes, something like that. It's a long time to just be stood around holding a button. But once you do, you will draw the sword and have it for yourself. Now something that I missed the first time is that once you do this, if you wait a couple of seconds, the body will burn up, leaving behind the blueprint. But I did head back anyway and grab the blueprint, but I unfortunately didn't get to see the corpse burn, which is a bit sad. So anyway, the EXPcalibur is a very powerful weapon. It will deal with most zombies in about 1 hit, depending on where you strike them. Now the problem with this weapon is it only has 7 durability, which means it's pretty much going to be useless after about 7 hits, I guess. Thankfully, because you can pick up the blueprint that I showed you earlier, you can craft more of these, but they die so quickly they're pretty much useless in any fight. I guess the only thing they're really good for would be maybe saving for bosses or the more tough zombies, but it's not really worth it. I do recommend going and grabbing it just because it's a lot of fun to use. And as you can see, I do send zombies absolutely flying with this weapon. So if you want to have a bit of a laugh in the game, go ahead and get it. Now in order to find this Easter egg, you need to be in the Old Town district. The actual location is around here on the map, and it's the daycare nursery that you have to go to during the Rupert the Gunsmith quest. Now when you first arrive inside the nursery, if you don't bother heading downstairs to go and talk to Rupert and head straight through the door opposite, you will find a small nursery which is pretty much abandoned. At the other end of this room will be a teddy on a few beanbags, I guess. You can interact with this teddy and some interesting things happen.
I love you.
After a few times of saying,
I love you,
the teddy will change its message to you.
I said I love you. Leave me alone. Don't touch me. Stop it. You abhorrent.
And I think that has to be the cutest explosion I have ever seen. Now besides being knocked on your ass, you actually do get a benefit from this. Where the teddy just was will be sitting a blueprint for the stasis field projector. Now the stasis field projector is a throwable weapon, much like a grenade, and it's actually a really cool weapon. They're pretty expensive to make, but they're definitely worth playing with if you can actually be bothered to make them. Essentially what they do is they launch the zombies into the air, suspend them there for a little while, and then slam them into the ground, which is tons of fun, especially when you do it in a big group of zombies. Now the guitar Easter egg actually comes in 2 different steps. Now the first thing you want to go and do is head to your room in the tower. In your room you will find a guitar leaning against the wall. If you interact with it, all that will happen is your character will strum the guitar. Now that's not very impressive, is it? But we can do something to change that. So what you want to do is head to the school, which can be found here on the map. If like me you head in through the roof, the classroom you're going to be looking for is pretty much the first one you'll find. Now once you're in here, what you're looking for is inside a cupboard will be a guitar and a book about how to play the guitar. If you interact with these 2 items and pick up the book, when you return to the tower you'll be in for a nice little surprise. So now we're back at the tower. If we once again head to our room and strum the guitar, he'll play something slightly different. Now it's not a major change, but it's definitely an improvement, so perhaps those self-help books do work. Now this Easter egg can actually be found in a couple of locations around the open world, but the one I'm going to be showing you can be found during the quest The Museum. And just to let you know, there may be slight spoilers ahead, but I don't think there's anything major, so you shouldn't have to worry. During this mission, for reasons that I won't delve into, you begin to trip out and enter a drug-fueled world, which seems to have become a common occurrence in AAA games nowadays. Anyway, while in this world, you'll be able to find a zombie which has been cut in half by an oversized saw blade. Now this is a reference to the level in Half-Life 2 called Ravenholm, in which you can use the gravity gun to lob pretty much identical saw blades at the zombies. So that's just a little nod to Half-Life 2 which can be found in Dying Light. As I said before, there are other locations around the open world where this can be found, so keep an eye out for them. The Korek Machete can be found in the slums area, just about here on the map. The blueprints to this weapon are located on the top of an apartment complex that houses the parking garage quarantine zone. If you don't have the grappling hook, you can get to the top of this building just by jumping on the air conditioning units on the side and parkouring your way up, which means that you can get this weapon very early on in the game. Now once you reach the top, you'll be looking for these boxes, which are hiding the blueprint behind. Simply climb into the space behind and you'll find a small box. Now if you try to open it, you'll find that it's locked. However, if you kick the box 50 times, it will pop open and give you access to the weapon's blueprints.
Okay, it's done. Fuck.
Now this is a really powerful weapon and can be really useful in the early game, so it's definitely worth the effort of retrieving. It's fairly easy to craft as well, so there's no reason not to get your hands on it really. Now this weapon is called the Korek Machete because it is a reference to one of the game's developers, and I believe that the developer in question was one of the art team, but I'm not 100% sure on that, so if I'm wrong, I'm sure you'll let me know in the comments. Now in order to find this Easter egg, you're going to want to come to this area on the map. Once here, it's not too hard to find. What you're going to be looking for is the bakery. Now as you can see here above the bakery on the sign, it says left for bread, which is a not very subtle nod to Valve's game Left 4 Dead. Now there's nothing more to this Easter egg than just the name really. But there are a couple of more of these around the map, and it's nice to see that Dying Light is referencing other great zombie games, even though they are technically competition. Now in order to find this Easter egg, you need to have access to the Old Town area of the map. Once here, you'll need to head to the very bottom left hand corner, which I'll be showing on the map here. Once you're at this location, what you need to be looking for is this chimney. Now you'll know you have the right one if inside the top of the chimney you'll see a little green pipe very similar to the ones found in Mario. Now all you need to do to activate this Easter egg is to interact with this pipe. And once you do so, you will be transported to a recreation of the first level of Super Mario. Except of course this is in first person and you can parkour. This is a pretty faithful recreation of the first level, and even comes complete with Goombas, which are basically reskinned zombies. You can kill them by jumping on their head, but you can also kick them, but I found it was actually quite difficult to do this. So one of the more interesting parts of this Easter egg is that you can find a hidden block. Now this hidden block is in the exact same place as the hidden block in the actual Mario game. So I'll show you whereabouts it is on screen right now. So all you need to do is jump up and hit it and it will appear. And you'll know you get the right block because it's pink and it's the only block that is pink. Now why this is so important is that on top of this block you will find a blueprint for the Pisa suit or Pisa suit depending on how you want to pronounce it. Now those of you familiar with Mario will know that this is the suit that allows him to fly. Well, it's more like gliding, and it features in quite a few of the games. So before we take a look at the suit, we'll just finish up the level. And all you need to do that is make it to the end. So that was the first part of the Mario Easter egg, which is the actual location itself. So I'm going to head off and create the Pisa suit, or Pisa suit depending on how you want to say it, and I'll show you how that works. Okay, so it's not too hard to make, it needs quite a few bits, but once you have it, unless you say sell it, you got it forever. Now, all the suit does is it kind of acts like a wingsuit, but a very, very bad one. If you jump from any height, you'll be able to glide for about, I don't know, 5 feet and then fall. So as you just saw then, it's not great for jumping off the top of buildings, but it is quite useful when you're just running around the streets, jumping from car to car. I personally don't really like using it very much because I end up killing myself an awful lot by jumping off ledges which are a bit too high, because I always expect the suit to do more than it does. But I have heard that some people really like it and say it's a great addition to your arsenal. So I think it's more of a matter of what your personal preference is, and whether or not you're like me and whenever the thought of gliding comes into your head, you dive off the tallest building possible. That's not a good way to go. Now, in order to find the Psycho Easter egg, you need to come to this location on the maps, which can be found in the Slums district. Once you arrive at this location, what you will find is a motel. Now, this motel is called the Bites Motel. Those of you that are familiar with the film Psycho, or even some of the spin-off shows like Bates Motel, will immediately recognise the reference due to the similarities in the names from both the film Psycho, Bates Motel the TV show, and of course Bites Motel in the game. Now, I'm not too familiar with Psycho myself, but I believe the main character in it is called Norman Bates, who is essentially the Psycho, I guess. And his family have a motel called the Bates Motel. And with a name like the Bites Motel, this couldn't be referencing anything else really. Now, in order to find this Easter egg, you'll need to be doing the mission Broadcast. During this quest, you'll be asked to climb to the top of an antenna and hook up an amplifier. Once you do this, you'll be told to return to Old Town. Instead of using the zipline in the direction of the objective, use the other zipline, which I show here. Once you reach the bottom, take the second zipline and make sure you stay on the rocks at the end. All you need to do now is follow the route I take, making sure that you stay on the highest ledges until you find this flower. Simply drop down and interact with it to be magically transported to a secret area of the map. Here you will find a very faithful recreation of Plants vs Zombies. This Easter egg is particularly cool as it's more than just a cosmetic reference. The plants will attack the zombies much in the same way they do in the game, and there are even multiple waves of zombies that shamble towards the house, complete with traffic cone hats and even tiny little zombies. You'll have to fend off every wave of these zombies in order to leave this area, and once you do, you'll be able to interact with the door on the house. Now, this Easter egg can only be found during the bunker side mission. During this mission, you'll be told to head to the bunker to access the underground vault. You'll actually have to head there twice, once to check it out and a second once you retrieve the keys to actually get inside. During this second part of the quest, when you are told to get inside the bunker, what you want to do is head inside the town hall and instead of heading downstairs to the vault, go upstairs to the architecture services room. Now, to trigger this Easter egg, you need to enter the office area and kill all the zombies on this floor. Once this is done, if you head towards the lift near the entrance, you will hopefully get to see this Easter egg. Unlike me. Now, for some unknown reason to me, I didn't actually get to see the right Easter egg. I'll put an image on screen now of what was supposed to spawn in the lift, but for some reason that didn't happen for me. Now, I don't know whether it was a bug or since I'm playing on Xbox One, they didn't put an Easter egg referencing a PlayStation exclusive in this version of the game. But I'm sorry that I couldn't show you actual footage of this Easter egg.
First impressions are always the most important. Let's just say that was a Yankee.
His name is Luke and he's more than your average gamer. No ordinary let's player. Know about Easter eggs much better. Da 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 da. His name is Luke, aka TheRoyalGorilla. Even bigger than the giant Godzilla. Follow him in every game he goes. Da 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 da. He's almost got everything you need, from GTA 5 to Assassin's Creed. And now